Alex, welcome.
Hi.
I'm so excited that you're here.
I'm excited that I'm here too. Thank you for having me.
We have a lot to catch up on.
We do. It's been a minute.
I know it's been too long, but it's also fun because we had to catch everyone else up also.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Right here.
It's exactly where we are.
Yes.
Our 2 feet planted firmly on the ground.
Exactly.
Well, why don't you catch everyone up to speed a little bit on your background?
Yeah.
And then we'll just hop right in.
So, Alex Cohen, Style by Cohen.
You didn't know.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's always like creating art, creating and working with people to help bring their vision to life. So, kind of how I started out was honestly, my parents always tell me, they were like, Alex, like, you were an artist and a creative and a stylist from like day one.
Right. Before you knew it had a term.
Exactly. Before I knew what this was. And basically from babysitting to helping pick out clothing for the parents that I was babysitting, because I was like,
come home and be like, wow, she looks fabulous.
I was like, well, they would walk out. I'm like, you can't wear that out. And I would pick out outfits in their closet.
Funny.
It was just funny. Like, and then I moved to Nashville because I have a gypsy soul, and so I love,
as we do.
Yeah, I love moving around.
When did you move to Nashville?
When I was, oh my gosh, I'm going to age myself. Not that I'm old at all, but I'm going to say when I was like 20 years old.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
so
where did you go to school?
I did. I went to UNT.
Okay, right. Okay, so then from there, did you move from Denton, Texas to Nashville, Tennessee?
No,
okay.
No. I've been all over the place. I've been from Nashville to Dallas to New York to Dallas. Like, I kind of
was New York before Nashville?
After. Yeah.
Interesting.
That was fun too.
That is so fun.
Yeah, that was a whole different pace and definitely not one that I can keep up with. But
we all wish that we could. And then we go there and we're like, oh.
I'm tired.
I played this out a lot differently in my mind.
I'm tired and I'm broke and like I need to go home. I want my car.
My feet hurt.
Yeah, exactly. So I moved to Nashville and really met some amazing people where I got to really see firsthand the country music artists.
Which we love,
yeah. And just how that worked. And I got, started connecting with photographers and art. And I was able to, do a couple of jobs. And I was still so young. I still had no idea.
We didn't think we were young.
No, I thought I knew it all at that time. And so anyways, I moved back to Texas about a couple years later to get my business degree just to have that in my pocket.
Yeah.
From there, I got signed on with the Campbell agency where I worked as a stylist with them, working like editorial and runway, like high fashion moments.
Right.
To where I learned how to work on commercials and productions. And it was just a really cool, whole different experience that I would just like never thought I was, going to have. And that's kind of where I built everything was, okay, I get to figuring out how clothing fits, how how colors and textures like work with somebody. And I got to work under a couple really amazing, talented people here in Dallas, one of them being Jan Stribble, and she is just to die for, like a mentor. And I worked under her and she really taught me so much just in the fashion From there, I kind of took that to really what I wanted and what I was looking for was to make a difference in women's lives and to really show women that how to step out and have confidence and feel beautiful. And the first thing that you do is you see somebody when they walk into a room. Yeah. And so I want to give women a permission to say yes to themselves. Yeah. And through that, it was through fashion. And so going into people's wardrobe and putting together outfits that they might not see for themselves. Right. And taking what they have envisioned and then bringing that to life. And so then I started on that trajectory for a couple years. And honestly, like that has been the catalyst for so many other things in my life. And now working red carpets and working with more artists and really honing in on like who you are as an individual, but also as a brand. Right. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. We have so many brands and so many people out there creating brands, right? And so now I've kind of stepped into this space where if you have a brand and you have a vision for what you want it to look like, I bring that to life.
Yeah.
And so I still do personal styling. I still work with brands. I still work with music artists, red carpets, and sometimes productions and runways. So it really is
so fun.
All about like who the client is, who you are, and what you want to say to the world. And then I work with you and the creative team and make it come to life.
I think that's so awesome. And if maybe you're listening and you don't quite know or haven't experienced what it's like to work with a stylist, that's one of the things. Like, stylists are one of the most unrecognized, like under promoted roles in a brand effort, in my opinion. And anybody who has been in charge or leading a brand effort knows, like, you watch the Maddox thing, and that not runway fashion, that's not like on the job, like you're in it. It's more or less like posed and structured.
Yeah.
But even just having a resource that has that skill, it's incredible. And so I just always like to emphasize and amplify the fact that, like, stylists you get to see the end product and experience that as a consumer. And what, like we talk about, once you go into a craft and you are responsible for creating, your eye for what has to go on in order for somebody to experience that is so detail oriented.
Yeah.
Because you see a look you like, and you're like, maybe she has good style, but she has a really good stylist because the look,
Yeah. Well, and two, everything looks so different. So I think when people are getting dressed for themselves, they're putting on what they see and they feel comfortable.
Right.
As an everyday person, they feel comfortable in that shirt. They feel comfortable in that fit. But how you translate that whenever it's on camera, whenever the way it flows, the way it moves, whenever you're on, if it's a commercial or it's red carpet or it's runway, there's a story that you're telling. And so my job is to really come in and tell your story. And to be able to showcase that and make people feel a certain type of way. And it's like the way you present yourself on that red carpet, on that commercial, on that brand partner, whatever it might be that you have to be client facing, forward facing, whatnot. It's like there's a story that we want to express and pull out of you. And that is what really builds on top.
That is the project.
That's the project.
That's the project. Yeah.
And so that is what really gets me. Whenever somebody comes to me, I'm like, I want to know you. I want to know who you are. What's your purpose? What's your passion? And what's our goal here in this? And help bring that to life.
The craziest part about the effort of what we're discussing in styling clothes is, in a lot of these conversations, we just like talk about how artistry is directly connected to your identity, but we're talking about like the process of creating, and then you put the canvas on the wall, right? But hope that people understand how much fashion is a creative expression more than a necessity. But the identity that somebody has to have the confidence and have resources around them to build up an identity that's then like a mobile expression. Like, I know it sounds like we're really getting quirky here, but it makes so much sense to me.
Right. And it could be even from my personal clients, right? Even nobody who's like on camera, nobody who's on, nothing like that. Even for them, it's just their confidence. And whenever you put on a good fit.
We all know what that feels like.
You walk out and you're instantly like 5 inches taller, shoulders back. You are just feeling yourself. And you're like hot, and you're just like, I am ready to take on the world. That's what I live for, is those moments, because we all deserve to feel full and complete and excited to get ready, Even just me going into your closet and putting a few things together, you have a whole new...
And seeing it a different way.
And that person's walking out with a whole new vision for, what they want to say.
And to your point, I think that the ability to go out and create is a equation of the tools and the experience that you have based on, okay, this body type, height, hair color, all of these things, right, that are actual logistics, I would call them, but then also the creative mind that you have. It's so funny how in those spaces you need every part, because there are actual tactical things that you can learn about how to dress yourself. So what do you feel like in those situations, those things are that you educate people with about, whether it's like, okay, we're going to belt this time.
Right.
Or, okay, we're going to pick a low-rise jean because this top structure is different.
Right.
Like, do you offer that to people? And like, how are those conversations for people that maybe don't know the tips and tricks?
Yeah, so it differs from personal clients to like
right,
on
1000%.
camera, and people who are going to events and whatnot. Because my personal clients, I'm teaching them how to dress for their body type, their skin tone, like their insecurities versus their like confident, like I'm teaching them those moments of being like, okay, if you're fair skin, you need
like
to
functional in their life. Yes.
Like these are everyday tools to remember, like if you are more warm color tones, dress for like these colors, right?
Right.
And so making sure that they live within that every time they get ready, they're living within that space so that they are like working towards dressing better in their everyday.
Yeah, right. Which makes sense.
Yeah. And then for my on-camera clients or people who are going to events, I'm more talking about like, hey, on a green screen, don't wear like certain patterns and
right.
don't
yes.
wear
right.
certain colors, but don't wear red, like certain things, because they're gonna pop and it's gonna be distracting. Instead of like, I want to be able to, whenever I talk to any of my clients, I'm like, I want to be able to look you in the eyes and my eyes go from your toes back up to your head, like in a very like seamless flow, instead of just my eyes directly going to like one specific and like somebody might put on like a cool shoe or a cool belt and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great, but is it cohesive with the entire overall like artist vibe we're going for?
And what do you feel about the themes that we have at like the Met Gala and we saw the Grammys?
Yeah.
So like immediately what's coming to mind is Miley Cyrus outfit, okay? Not only is that a statement and maybe I'm going to be, but it was seamless in its own way.
She was flawless. Like her team is so creative. And the thing I love about artists on that level, a lot of them like have their team and they stay with their team. Once you find
this is a journey. It's a
journey, because like I always say it's like a dance. Like I'm dancing with all of my clients, because at our first meeting, I just want to know who you are. Like I'm not going to come in to our first meeting and say, this is what I think X, Y, and Z. Let me put
it's not an equation.
On. It just doesn't work.
No.
Because there's so many things, even from a fabric. That I might not know, that a client's like, I don't like wearing that fabric. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that till 3 fittings down.
And we can also understand that, like you take Miley Cyrus, for example, she's gone through so many seasons. And so for a team to work through that with her and then have her be, she is wearing the art, right? Like she is the art. And you can see that. And then it's, if you saw, she released content, videos, and she had an iPad and she's sitting on a couch and she walked through every season of her life and talked about it. And it was all based on like looks. Like she could look at something and be like, oh, I know exactly what that process was and what I was doing, what season I was in, like what my struggles were, what song I just released. And I'm like, to think about that and having like a look or for an event or whatever, like that is grounding in a way, because it's a space and time.
Yeah. And you are always creating, we are always evolving, and like whatever you are going through in those seasons, like it's a direct reflection on everything that's surrounding in your life, and including your wardrobe, including the way that you style yourself, your hair, everything is like a direct reflection of where you're at. And as you grow with your teams, like you can tell just the involvement and how like the trust builds within people, because it's like, okay, we're growing. This is where I see myself, and it's the team too. And I'm only talking about like branding and artists and stuff, that you can truly see that transform into something so great over the years.
Yeah. And it's a evolution of relationship, because I'm sure a lot of it is like just getting to know a person. Yeah. And then you actually step into a space where you're creating with them, because you're up to speed on who they are and what their identity is like. Yeah. So now let's talk about New York for a second. Okay. So Nashville was when you worked under mentor.
That was here in Dallas.
Yeah. And then did you move to Nashville from Dallas?
No, I'm in Nashville to Dallas.
Okay.
To New York to Dallas. Like I kept
Okay.
Dallas.
Yeah. Well, has that effect on people?
Yeah.
So you back from Dallas, then you moved to New York. What was the call to move to New York?
The call to move to New York was just to see what it was like.
Yeah, because it's like kind of that thing in the sky that's like cat calling you.
I was like, can I do this? Do I want to do this? Like, is this, a space that I want to create in? And, I lived there for just a few months, really. It wasn't like, but it was fast paced, ever going.
Right.
Hand to the pavement basically, and just like go. Like I was schlepping gowns, like $1,000 gowns on the subway. I was like, this is not.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Cammy from Show Me Your Moo.
I have heard. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
So she was at an event I was at, and she was telling her story about essentially how Show Me Your Moo came to be, and she was saying because they had what the term is a cut and sew company in New York, and her roommate were carrying like 30-pound bags of material up and down their apartment stairs in the subway. And it's funny because she was saying Show Me Your Moo, the name literally came from, they were at work and she was like, I didn't want to say she was interning for some fashion internship or something. Yeah. And her and her friends like at 4:00, like booked a flight to Miami, nothing in their bag, literally left from the work and flew to Miami with whatever was in that. It was a sample that she like in her purse. Yeah. And then somewhere along the way, somebody called out Show Me Your Moo. And that is why they were like on their trip with like all that they had in their bag. And then they like had a cut and sew in New York.
A thing.
And now look at them. Like, it's so crazy. So that story, to your point, is like, that came to fruition because of what New York, I feel like, because they were going to a weekend trip to Miami. They literally left from work, had no plan that morning, that they were going to Miami. And then now look, you absolutely don't.
And that, like, to that point, it's always, do you know who Ed Millett is?
Yeah.
Okay. So of course, like we all, like I listen to his podcast. And
if anybody needs that locker room coach, which is like so natural to me, because that's like my background. It's great for that.
Yeah. And he always talks about,
we love it.
One more, and it's always just like one more phone call, one more meeting, one more date, one more whatever it might be, because you just never know where your life is. Like that one more is going to like take your life. And so I think that's something too, whenever it comes to where you're at in your life, like making sure that like you are always putting that like foot in front of the other, being intentional about where you're going and like not giving up. Yeah. And always like going after it. If you have a vision placed on your heart, then like go for it. Right. Yeah. Because you truly never know what rooms you're going to end in and where you're going to meet with, who you're going to meet with those people, or what meeting you're going to take, or what call you're going to get for a job. Like there's been so many times where I've gotten a call for, a really amazing job. And I'm sitting here being like, how did this happen? But I'm like, it happened because I kept going. Yeah. And I kept making sure that I was intentionally making those connections and working with people with my whole heart in these jobs. Yeah. And making sure that people saw my artistry and also saw that my passion behind it and the work ethic behind it. And that's how it has become what it is today. So. What would you say to someone who's struggling with that? To keep going. Yeah. I mean, to keep, as like cliche as it is I'm a true testament of like, if you do not give up, like you can truly make what is placed on your heart become reality. Yeah. And like, there's been so many moments. Like I remember, oh my gosh, crying with my mother. We all have been there. We've been there. We've been there. I'm crying. Is this what I'm supposed to do? Is this? How do you know? Like, how do we know? With like $0 in my bank account. Or negative dollars. I mean. Yeah, credit card. Literally. Let's be real. But it's one of those things where I knew that I was supposed to do something more. And I know that I was supposed to serve people in a way, and that service comes through fashion and helping. And so and I had to go out on my own to make it happen. Right. And so again, as cliche, it's just like, you gotta keep going. Like you gotta keep putting in, like trying different things. Like if something's not working, it's okay to pivot. It's okay. Because you're still doing something. I still in my 30s have I'm still figuring.
Oh yeah, no, we're still on the path.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I turned 30 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I've always been that person who was like, oh, I'm going to be a millionaire by 30. And I'm like, I could not be farther from the truth. And so I'm like, clearly there is just such a testament to the journey of like progressing.
Yeah.
Because I'm sitting here thinking that I've learned so much, but what's ahead of me, I just feel so much closer to because of all the things I've had to work out.
Yeah. More clarity.
And that's okay. I honestly feel like if anything that I've learned, especially in this year, is that every day is the joy. Every day is the win that you're seeking.
Yeah.
And if you can't be where your 2 feet are, then it's going to be hard. And it's always going to feel like a struggle. But like you said, like the one thing that you know you can do is wake up every day. Like you literally, at least you can wake up and you can go find something that brings you joy. And to me, it's that coffee. Like that coffee the first thing in the morning. Like, and I know it's not cliche to the people who understand. But if the one thing that I'm after in my day is a cup of coffee, we're starting off great.
We're starting off really good.
We're going to wait 60 to 90 minutes because I love Andrew Huberman, and that's what he told me to do.
No, it is. It's that, it is. It's that morning routine, that regiment that like will help because I mean, it all draws back to like, who are you? What are you after? Yeah. What are you after? And what are you serving to the world? And if you are not good within yourself, if you are not 2 feet on the ground, if you are not enjoying those moments in your life, then how do you expect to give to the world? One
thought I've been having is about adding to the economy of whatever it is. So it's like adding to the economy of our relationship, adding to the economy of the culture that's around me in my tight circle, adding to the economy of my household. And I think the one flip that I've had is I've realized I've given a lot of power to other people to dictate the economy. And whether it's a dynamic in a relationship, a project, a client, in my business, whatever, I have made that switch to be like, you are the economy. And like you said, what you bring into a room is your responsibility and you have direct power over that. And I think when you're struggling and not knowing if you can keep going, understanding that you get to choose. Because often when we're in that valley and that pit, I think it's a lot because we feel like somebody took our power or we probably gave it away. But in those spaces, it's like it was taken from us, right? Like I think that's sometimes the hard differentiator that you have to go discover on your own. But walking into a space in a great outfit, being confident in who you are, maybe that's it. It's first, I'm all about tying up those, put a little bow on it, a cute little bow. And in this day and age, it's going to be red and it's going to be extra long tails. Very in. But I do think that, to your point, creative expression gives you a confidence. And if we understand the power of that and can use it as a tool, maybe we'll be more capable to wake up every day. And we don't want to give up because we have our 2 feet on the ground and cute shoes and a great outfit and our coffee in hand.
I love that.
Wow. I think we just solved 90% of the world's problems. But to your point, the value of that, and I think the more I have these conversations, I want everyone to understand that they have a creative aspect in them. And I as we grew up in our generation, I think it was very boxed and like, oh, we're going to have art time for 30 minutes or you take an art class, you know? And I think that the culture of how you has a big influence on what that looks like in your journey. And if you're babysitting and you're styling your clients at 13 years old, it found you. It found you. It was, but I would want to say and assume that was a part of your life because of how that culture was around you that gave you
my parents gave me a
openness.
My parents gave me the creative freedom and they really did instill in me that you are capable of creating anything you want in this world. And so I'm very, very thankful for them and that structure they created for me. And they're like, yeah, we would take you shopping and we would pick out items for you and you would go put it back and pick out something.
5 years old. No, Mom.
I was like, this isn't it.
That's so funny. You know what's funny about that is I have a 2-year-old and she picks out her clothes. She knows a sense of style is established. I also think a lot is established way earlier than we ever think.
Early in life.
That girl... She wants her nails painted. She wants a bow in her hair.
So much.
She's going to pick the bow in her hair. I tried to put a different bow in her hair that matched more her outfit.
It was a no.
No. Hot pink bow, Mom. That's all. Okay, that's fine. But
red.
And she knows. She goes, no, I don't want that shirt. I want this one. And it's just the funniest thing.
Just the independence.
It is. And even in her young, very like being able to just put things in front of children and allowing them a safe place to explore and make messes and like that, I'm just like, to me, it's rewired so much of my brain. And it does. They say like motherhood, like heals the self, the inner child, you know, it heals the inner child. But in all these conversations, it's very apparent that your influence from a young age creatively, especially like what your culture was like with your parents, influences every part of your life as a creator. And so I think the people who don't identify as a creator probably didn't have as much freedom of expression in their home, which is not a bad thing. It's just a matter of how, yes. And that's also their own journey. But I'm like, we all have a creative space in our life. And it just depends on who we were created to be as how that is expressed and how that's like made out in our lives. But let's talk about, because since fashion has been a part of your life, what was a fashion trend that you look back on and see that you're like, oh, what was I doing?
Oh my gosh.
For me, I don't know if this was my choice or not, but it was the gaucho pants.
It was the gaucho pants, those, and it's coming back because everything comes back around. Like, let's be honest,
everything does.
Everything comes back around. Don't get rid of the pieces in your wardrobe.
You know what I'm really into that's coming back around? Well, cargo pants, first of all.
We love.
Acid wash.
Yeah. All the denim. Well, denim's always been in. It just depends on like what kind of denim.
You know what I got scoffed at for the other day?
What?
Sambas.
Really?
Because my husband is Hispanic and we were at my in-laws and I was like, y'all, look at these shoes I'm going to buy. And my mother-in-law was like, are you kidding me?
You know, she's like,
that is an indoor soccer shoe. And they're charging $120 for it? She was like, oh my God. And I was just like...
More than that now with all the specialty ones that they have out there.
They're so cool.
Yeah, they are cool. I like them. I don't mind them.
I don't mind them at all.
We don't have to wear heels all the time now.
Anymore.
You know?
We love that for me. And me and my mess up feet love that.
We love sneaker game. It's super strong right now. So I'm here for it. And all the denim. I'm loving all of that. Obviously, I love the Western like industry and the fashion that comes with that. Obviously, there's like certain things.
We can really dive into that. We can really dive into that.
But I think with me, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a sparkle girl. I'm not like a very like glam person. Even with my style, my people, I'm not like glam, like sparkle, you know.
I'm not a girly girl.
No.
One girl I came upon on TikTok she was like branding the cool girl fashion. Like I'm a cool girl tomboy. Like that's like who I am. And so which I actually am like, no, that's always been me. And that hasn't really existed in any space. Like I got bought clothes pretty much. Well, I could kind of pick, but not really. Like when you're shopping at Kohl's, how much actually creative expression do you get? You know?
Hey, Kohl's has some
Kohl's slays. But that's like the whole brown gaucho thing that like came into conversation. But then I also just like now and I'm like, it's more of a tomboy. Like I haven't really ever been into glitter or pink.
No,
or
dresses and skirts. Like I'm just not.
Heels were never something, unless it was like an event that I am glamming up for. I never identified with them as like my day-to-day thing.
Yeah, I choose comfort for the most part.
Were you wearing heels in New York? That was always like because I think Sex in the City did that to us, where you were like wearing heels in New York. That's not a reality. That's not happening.
Reality. When I was going out, I did, which was nightly. Like definitely.
You got to keep up. Yeah. Right.
You know? No, I definitely did wear heels whenever I'm styling, like more so because I was still trying to figure out my style too.
Right.
I'm like, who am I? Like I know these trends. I know what looks good on people, and like I'm still learning so much. And so definitely when I first started styling, even like at events, like I always wore heels, whatnot. But now I'm just like I'm cool. Like.
Yes.
I'm good with like whatever I'm comfortable in, as long as I'm walking in like comfortable and confident, like I'm, job done.
Yeah, I love that. So. Okay, so let's get back to the Western thing.
Yeah.
At what point, because you didn't necessarily grow up with that influence, right?
I didn't.
You grew up in Kansas City?
Yeah, I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, about
in the city.
So, yes.
Because because I always, that's how people,
on the Missouri side too.
Okay, let's clarify. Because I would say people in Dallas are like, I grew up in Dallas, and they're like, I actually grew up in Frisco. That's not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
Okay, anyway.
But yeah, so I grew up in Kansas City, Missouri, on the Missouri side, close to the city. And so I didn't really have an experience in the Western industry and culture. Like I just didn't really grow around it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I mean, obviously I lived in Nashville for a little bit too, but again, I wasn't really into it then.
Well, and even Nashville doesn't necessarily have that culture.
Yeah, it's a melting pot.
It is, and it's there, but almost by pressure, not by the organic, what it is. Bless you.
Thanks.
Be blessed.
Be blessed. So it wasn't until I moved back to Dallas for the third time.
We love as many times as you need.
That I met one of my best friends, truly like ride or die, and she's very much also, she grew up in Kansas City, Kansas. And,
Right.
And so she really introduced me to the Western community. And
because what was she doing at that point when you met?
she was working in TV. She was working in TV. She wasn't really like showcasing the Western history yet, but she was like into it, you know, more than I was, of course. But we're both living in Dallas. And so it's not, you know, we rarely go out to Fort Worth.
And at what year was this?
Oh my gosh. This was 8 years ago. Because
that's what I want to say. There's been such on a chart, it would be like this, and then it's going to dip down, and then all of a sudden Western. So like her upbringing, even if she was raised West, like I have large Western influence.
Right.
When we were younger, we were like, ew.
Yeah, you like
we're
away
not
from it.
We're not wearing the ropers. Cool. We're not starching our. The first time I vividly remember in my mind in my childhood when that like experience of my grandma wearing her starched jeans to church, and I like had to have that interaction with her of like, why are your jeans like sticking together? Like I remember that when I was young,
and it was like a thing.
Yes. And then in high school it was not cool to be a horse girl. Nope. Like where I grew up, granted, like Texas is going to be different. I grew up in small town Colorado, like that was not a thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like you go into college, you're figuring things out, and then it's like it's kind of made its way back that you're like, oh, I can actually honor my heritage because it's the misconception of it doesn't exist nearly as much as it did when we were younger, figuring out what was cool and what we wanted to, you know?
Yeah. And something that I really love about the Western community. And so since being introduced to the Western community, I have spoke on panels. I have styled runway shows. I have done photo shoots with it. And I've really learned more about the rich history of the Western community and the fashion that comes. What do things mean? You know, the different stones, the way people wear things, the certain colors, right? Like it truly is a history and an art, and that is what I love because it's like I said earlier, is always repeating itself.
Yeah,
It always comes back around. So it's like, what are we taking from those moments and really like putting them now onto our current fashion trends? Like we can always support and give back and wear Western pieces because it has such a deep-rooted history in our American society. Right. And now we can make it like...
Which is why I feel like people are connected to it.
Yeah, people are so connected to it. Like you put on a good hat, you put on a bolo tie, you put on a badass pair of boots, and people are just like, oh... Yeah. Wait a minute.
And I also think that the craft that it takes for each, that has such a rich organic history, and that is a craftsmanship that's a generational thing. Yeah. Like leather and boots and why boots are made the way that they're made and turquoise and all of that. And so one of the things, I have a lot of thoughts and opinions obviously on different like nooks and crannies of the industry and how it's executed. But at the end of the day, the craftsmanship that exists in the Western culture, there's not another that I'm aware of that operates that way.
Right. Well, and it just depends like what your culture is and the deep rooted history that you have. Like in American society, Western is what we have. If you go any other places of the world, obviously, there's going to be that deep rooted and that brand, that really makes waves.
Because are we seeing anything of a different culture that's coming into the mainstream or has come into the mainstream like Western culture has.
I mean, we definitely have.
But we maybe just don't know that that's what it is.
Because everything is coming over from...
Everything has an influence of some point.
Yes.
It's just a matter of whether we know it or not.
And how you style it, how you integrate it into your current fashion, right? And so I think with that is something that America, like, we really have is the Western fashion. So now you're seeing so many different people like really like take that fashion and make it their own
and run with it. Beyonce, girl,
I know.
Not that you needed any credibility or any sort of pull to. But I mean, I'm so into it.
Yeah, and
because has she presented herself Western before the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah.
In what spaces?
Well, multiple.
Recently. Because it was obvious. At the Super Bowl, it was, I want to say it was a little more obvious than the other times that I'm aware of.
Yeah, like for the Grammys, she wore one of Pharrell's Louis Vuitton. Like, what? Yeah.
Who did it first? That's one thing that I'm like, okay, maybe ours should be, at what point did it appear? Yeah. Because we knew Ralph Lauren did an arena show. Where they're in the dirt.
Not Ralph Lauren is.
They've always.
Oh yeah.
Because traditionally, historically, that has been present.
Who he is. So that's not anything like new. But then you have, and I'm trying to think of all the other designers. Like,
we'd have to have a list. We'd have to like make their factually check. Yeah.
But then you have Pharrell coming out with the Louis Vuitton and him being the creative director, which what he's doing is so smart.
He's such a great creator.
Oh my gosh, she's a genius. And then of course, like Beyonce, like she is coming over into the Western. Like she is hitting every single platform that, you know, to really build her audience and her base and really like get her into every single part of our world.
The thing I love about that, she's so smart. I think, and we are seeing this because I even want to say with Taylor's new stuff that she's hinting and Beyonce, I want to identify with this also. They are saying, don't tell me how it should be.
Yeah.
Let's create because of the process of creating and put it out there because it means something to us.
Yeah.
And pushing the boundaries based on what society has created. And we can follow that.
I think that's with what kind of where business and what we all are trying to encompass is like, you can be anybody.
I don't have to make sense to you.
You don't have to be in a box. You don't have to step out with what everyone else is wearing. You don't have to follow the path just because you're Western. You can't live in a city. You know, you don't have to follow the path of just because you started out in pop that you can't cross over to pop and country music. You know, like we truly have this world where we can create anything we want. Like we are artists, we are visionaries, and it's like, why not?
Right.
And who's going to stop me?
No,
Your
right.
opinion?
Yeah, right.
Don't
Because
care.
it won't. Yeah.
Like, don't care.
Yeah, I 1000% agree.
It's like, as long as we're not hurting anybody, as long as we're like making sure like we are serving and doing the best thing we can to create in this world and give back, then it's like, get out of my way.
Yeah, I agree. And so once you were introduced to the Western culture, when did you start creating within that space for your work?
Yeah, I mean, pretty soon after. So I started working with,
were you obsessed at the beginning?
Yeah, I was obsessed. And two, it's like, because I come from such a background of like editorial and runway and high fashion, and then you know, working with my personal clients to understand different body types and colors and you know, all that. And so I was able to kind of go into the Western community and do something a little bit differently.
Yes.
Because, you know, you see...
It was probably invigorating.
Yeah, you see the Western community. And a lot of times, like, one of the panels I was on, I got asked, they were like, what's something that, you know, you see in the Western community? And I'm like, I always think, like, less is more. Like, you're the artist. Like, let yourself shine through. Like, you don't need all the, like... things, you know, like I want to see the beautiful suede or leather. I want to see the beautiful turquoise and, you know, the custom boots or the hat that you got, you know, made and placed on. Like, I want to see those unique pieces because they mean something to you.
And Western fashion is also a place where, because the craftsmanship says so much, the minute you try to do too much, the
you lose
integrity of that is gone, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I really try, like, my style would be leaning more towards like the Ralph Lauren's, you know?
Yeah.
And like very chic, timeless.
Yes.
Like,
yes. We're going to have a press shirt on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Right. And you're going to like flow whenever you know, do certain things. You're going to, the colors and tones are going to go and make sense together. And yeah, no, I was obsessed from day one. And so I've kind of been working in that space as well and able to just bring a different vision to that Western community.
In a really real way. Because I think you might be bridging is we see high fashion, we see the runways and the very crazy concepts that are happening, and then we see maybe red carpets and events for celebrity, and then it's the gap between we know that exists and you have a part in that, but then what is like the in between
like
look
how do
like?
you do that? How do I create that on an everyday person? You know,
and things that we have access to,
right?
You know,
and two, it's like everything I'm not going to go to my clients and be like, okay, we have to buy all off the runway and we have to like make it like you know, a crazy budget. Like it's not that. I want to make sure that the people I'm serving are like they're comfortable and it's attainable to them and like where they're at in their life. And so it's just finding those brands and pieces to work within that space to make sure that we're able to achieve that overall goal and vision for them on where they're at.
And making it possible.
Yeah, making it possible.
So at what point did you work with Dolce & Gabbana?
I worked with Dolce. Oh my gosh, so fabulous. I worked with Dolce & Gabbana. That had to have been about 6 years ago, I think it was. And we were actually doing this show at the music hall down in Dallas, and the team from Dolce actually was over here. So I got
the same people that did Courtney's wedding.
Yes. Yeah. The creative team.
Naturally.
Yeah. The creative team was actually over here. And
I guess technically Kim stuff too.
Yeah, exactly.
We won't get into the weeds of that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was that team and it was such an experience. But again, that goes with why I love doing what I do is we get to work
There's
with
such space.
Yeah. And you never know what rooms you're going to end up in and who you're going to meet.
Which is almost great. Because I think the other authenticity thing that is becoming so important. I think people are being able to see through it a little bit more. And so when you are open to it and you just walk into a room not even knowing what to expect, the authenticity exists because you're just like, I'm here for me. Like I'm here to be me.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I'm not preempting. Yes, right.
Yeah, they brought me on and I got to work hand in hand with this team and we had a translator because half the time I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, right.
Like working alongside them, that was such a moment in my career. Yeah. One of those moments that like really sits with you because you walk into this room of experts and
people who this is their legacy. The legacy they have created.
And just the craftsmanship like throughout each garment, the way they style, the intentionality that they put behind each piece I was in awe the entire like how flawless everything was because that is the level that they work at. And that is the level like what I took from that job learning from them was there's a level that you need to like serve and be at to make it here.
Yes, right.
Like the way that they went about from the moment that they showed up to the way that models were working, you know, everyone was just flawless. Timing, the steps, the production, just the way things flowed on each model. If something did not fit, like it was a next, you know?
Yeah,
and you
right.
had to like the clothes were made so specifically for a reason. And that was one of those moments in my career that I will never forget. And it was just executed beautifully.
That is so incredible. And to have that experience at that point, I think that not only shows you that you're capable because you're already in that, like you're in the room.
I was in the room.
Yeah.
Which is like still to this day, some of the rooms that I end up in. And that kind of goes back to that like imposter syndrome, like, can I do this? You know,
right.
Am I on the right path? But you show up in these rooms and it does get easier.
Right.
Like there's still, every time I walk into a room, I'm still like, oh, I have to hype myself up before I walk into a room sometimes.
That's fine.
You know? But I walk into a room.
Music, playlists,
yes,
routines are there for, yeah, right.
But yeah, my team is like so incredible, and they will always make sure they're like, you got this.
Yeah.
Like, here's the things. But you walk into these rooms and it's just like in awe, and you don't ever lose that, because at the end of the day, like, I'm so thankful to be able to be in these rooms with these people, and to have worked as hard as I have to show up the way that I do.
Right.
And to be asked to sit at these tables with these people.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing. You know?
So incredible.
Yeah.
So fast forward to now. What are we working on now?
Yeah. So,
or last week, what were we working on? Super Bowl last week. That was great. We can talk about our favorite fits of the bowl too.
Yeah.
But let's back up to what you're doing to get ready for Super Bowl, because that was a fun.
That was a fun. So being from Kansas City, it has obviously, like, I'm a huge Chiefs fan, and my family is like, that
runs deep.
Yeah. Grew up in the stands, all the things. And so I get a call, and it's a lot of what I do is by referral. And I'm very, I understand that. And so I know that I have to deliver a certain way.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's great. And so I got a call to style Randy Mahomes, and it was one of those moments where I'm like, shout out, Mom. Real?
Yeah, right.
Like,
the moms have to be cute too. Yeah.
She was wearing a beautiful, for the NFL honors, she was wearing this beautiful, like, liquid sequin, like, Lafayette 148 suit. And she just, like,
that's
moved
so great.
really well.
Right.
On the, and so I think, and then we had multiple events throughout that entire weekend that she just looked amazing, and I was really honored to be able to work with her throughout that, and two, just working with my team to create these moments for my clients. I work really well. Like, what I've started doing is, like, I have these personal clients, but I also have these brands and people that I've been able to create with and build with over time. Yeah. And kind of like you referenced the Miley thing earlier, it's like, I've been working with one of my girls for 2 years now. Yeah. And it wasn't until probably, 8 months to a year in that we now fully trust each other. Yeah, right. And where it's like, this is what I have, whatever you think, here you go. And so it's still like a little bit of a dance, but we're creating as we're growing. And that's really
Which that's
cool.
A bond in itself.
Yeah.
Because when you create with someone, that you do that with in any place.
No.
That's a special thing.
Yeah, and you have to make it very, like, my goal, any of my clients, is I want them to walk out feeling confident, hot, amazing, like they can take over the world. Right. And that's going to be, like, my goal with each outfit, that whether it's for the Super Bowl, NFL honors, whether it's for a music video, a commercial, or my personal clients too, and brands.
Right. So what do we have coming up then?
We are...
Because it's spring.
Spring has sprung.
Spring is here. Well, if you're in Texas, it's here because...
Yeah, you're hot, right?
Yeah. I'm like, I have, like, sandals on.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It's a weird time.
It is a weird time.
Yeah,
I think right now we are working on I'm growing, which is exciting and nervous. Like, I am definitely having more, clients and people come my way to where I can style them. But right now we are working on building out a little bit more to where I can really take on those specialty projects and still serve my personal clients as well. Right. So we're working on the growth and the building of Style by Cohen and the brand. And we're working into products and other things that, could eventually turn into more of, like, an overall company.
Yeah, so, right. That's so exciting. Yeah. Do you have any fun projects coming up?
I'm trying to think of, like, what I have.
I put you on the spot.
No, you did. I did. I definitely, so I have something with Sony Music coming up that I'm really excited about, working with a new client over there. And then, of course, my ever trusting best friend client in the Western community. We have a couple speaking things coming up as well. So
that's so fun.
She's going on she's working on some really amazing projects within her company, and
Yeah.
I'm able to style her kind of along the way.
Yeah.
So that's going to come out soon.
That's influential on both sides because
Yes.
it's like you can be in the scenes, but then
I
also
could
just
be-
knowing
Yeah, and I
the
can be with
industry.
her and,
Yeah.
like, know what
That's so
she's
fun.
working on, and know that like it's always really fun seeing and kind of being on that journey with my people is like seeing what they're working on next. And now, okay, I'm like, oh, well, this
Yeah,
is what we're going to
this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing and building towards. So more of that, and also just more red carpets coming up. 'Cause
That's
it's
so
about
fun.
to be that season.
I know. I'm like, award season is upon us.
Yeah.
What is your favorite season?
I know.
Award season.
Award season.
Which is,
You're
yeah.
so right.
I will be in attendance soon.
Good. Yeah. I love it.
Throwing that out there. That's so great. So with the transition of 2024, I think
Yeah.
that we all know what the past few years have been, and you want to transition into growth and all of that. But what on the trend side are you looking forward to?
I'm looking more forward to. So I know we kind of went to this like place where people were just like that athleisure, comfy, just being chic and comfy. But I'm kind of looking for like I love seeing somebody with a good fit.
Yes. Oh,
Like,
yeah. A moment. Yeah.
Like, I want people to truly, and what I'm looking forward to, and I think with obviously we know the Western community is coming. I'm about to see a ton of cowboy hats and cowboy boots everywhere. I already know.
Let's bubble that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah,
But yes, keep going. We're going to come back to that.
But I love when people are like stepping out, and I think like we're kind of leaving the past few years a little bit behind because like
Which
now
we should.
Yeah, of course we should.
Rightfully
definitely do
so.
that.
Bye.
But we are like kind of stepping into this space where we're like, okay, we're like. We understand who we are more so, and it's like, yeah,
Thank
wow,
goodness.
like, yes, thank goodness. And it's like, wow, like comfy chic and athleisure was cute for,
And there's a time and a space.
there is. I'm like, I want people to step out.
Let's get it.
Let's go.
I agree with that. I so agree with that.
I need to see you in color. I need to see you in texture. And
Yeah.
I'm loving the mob wife era. Like, are you kidding me?
Finally, I can
I know,
pull
but
out
you
my
love how
vintage
the-
Dior fur coat.
Yeah. you love how
Finally.
fur is coming back around now.
I love it. I so love it.
Yeah.
I never thought that those heirlooms would come back and have a space other than because we've always worn them.
Yeah.
Like that is like a
That's a
legacy
Western thing
thing.
too,
That's
yeah.
why my daughter's name is Cleanne. Like
Yeah.
my aunt from the 70s that had furs.
Yeah.
And they've stayed in our family forever.
Yeah.
And I luckily and I get to use them.
Yeah.
We share. It's like
Yeah.
fur coats. But it came around and I was like, you bet it did. Did I
Yes.
wear my fur coat to the library to take my daughter to story time?
did.
Absolutely did.
Yeah.
I have a lot to wear it at the time when it was freezing in Texas. No, but now you'd sweat in it. So it's like you
Yes,
have to
right.
take your opportunity, and
Yeah,
mine
when
was
it
the
happens.
library.
Exactly.
I 1000% agree. Mob wife, I am here for it.
I'm so in for it. I'm obviously here for the Western, so I'm really excited to see how people start styling it. And
I
like,
agree.
because I think the people that we're watching, as far as like the fashion influencers or like creators or whatnot, we're seeing what they're doing, and now it's giving us permission to really
to pull it out of the closet. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
we
so
have
true.
it. We all have
it was in my legit. It was there. What else in there?
we all have
else
the
is in
style.
there?
So now it's like, all right, let me see it.
And also the confidence in who we are that we can operate on the unhinged era is like what I like to call it. Because now it's like, we've gone through a lot of stuff. We can look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, what are you worried about?
Say less.
Let's go.
do it.
Move forward. Put on the shoes.
Yeah.
Go walk into a room. Make
Yeah.
a statement.
Yeah.
Own your moment. And the moments are important because legit, in your day, that's all you got.
That's it. Take the moment.
Take the moment.
That's
and
my
that
next quote. Take the moment.
take the moment. And good shoes.
Yeah.
And a great outfit.
And a coffee.
And can't forget the coffee. Yeah, we love that. And I also want to say that the minute you give yourself permission, you just stand back
Say
and
less.
watch.
Yeah, just say yes to
stand
yourself.
back and watch.
Like it will happen for you, and it's like just like stop worrying about what everyone else is thinking. I mean, like we could all say that over and over, but truly, like I'm more concerned about me.
Yeah. No, we all are. Think about that.
Yeah.
That was one thing my mom always told me. Of like, you walk into a room and you feel self-conscious, but
Like,
everybody is
nobody's-
thinking about them because
100%.
and they're essentially the psychology behind it is like when you walk into a room, everybody is bouncing who they see themselves as off of you.
Yeah.
So it's like you're creating the standard and they're trying to measure up against that standard.
Yeah.
And that's like human psychology.
Yeah.
Like that's not, it can be toxic, but like that's just how
Right.
our brains work.
Yeah, just doing it.
And the minute you realize that, you're like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm good.
It's fine.
I'm
So
good.
Step out, wear the outfit, wear the shoes, closet, like.
What's in your cart right now? Like, what are you investing in for your closet?
I think, well, so spring is coming.
Which is, it's a hard time to shop.
It's a hard time for, like, because
Don't go to the mall right now.
Yeah. I have to go to the mall all the time.
I've been there 2 times in the past week, and it's caused menti beast.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I walked out with socks. I was there for 6 hours.
No.
6 hours.
Wow.
Granted, we started with story time in the library, and that was 1 hour.
That's so
and we
funny.
ate lunch at Chick-fil-A at the food court.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, that's a win.
And if you've ever been to North Park in Dallas, like,
you can
spend some time there.
You can.
But I literally walked out with socks. Aritzia socks. Best socks you'll buy. But
they have great tights too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like Aritzia.
But man, I was so defeated after that. Yeah. I was like, this is just, what is this? But don't shop right now.
Yeah, so I'm always forcing fall. Like, like I'm a fall girl.
Yep.
Like, I love layers. I love things that I'm like, I don't know. I just like layering.
Stacking,
up.
yes.
That's
because it gives it taste and personality.
So I have a hard time with spring and summer for me and myself.
When you can't wear anything because you're sweating.
Yeah, because we live in Texas and I can't wear anything. And I'm just like, this isn't my vibe.
No.
So
and denim shorts, I don't care who you are.
I'm going to run away to Montana.
Let's do. Yeah, let's do.
No, but yeah, denim, it's just not my thing. So I'm looking for those lightweight linen pieces. Like, I love still wearing like trenches and like blazers that are linen. Like, because I still love layering. I still need to be able to walk into like certain spaces, and like feel. And for me, like, layers make me comfortable.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
And so I'm looking for those like linen breezy pants. Like, I really have these beautiful say that. I'm like, I have these little shoes saved in my cart.
Yes.
I really want. But they're just like sandals and stuff that I could like wear with like flowy pants and whatnot.
Yeah. So, what would you say you give permission to people to splurge on?
Accessories
for their that's a good one.
Yeah,
something that you can wear every day.
Yes.
So we're talking accessories like,
purses,
are we talking
shoes.
Jewelry? Are we talking sunnies? Are we talking bags? Are we belts?
I think it's just accessories in general. It kind of depends on where you that space, Yeah. I do think like shoes are a huge thing. Like boots, of course. Like whenever it comes to we bring back the Western industry or hats and whatnot. I think it's really important to be mindful of intentional, like what you are buying, because I can tell.
I could not emphasize that more.
Yeah, I can tell whenever it's a cheap piece, versus like a taken care of, piece, because those pieces are going to last.
Do you get the ick?
Much. Sometimes.
Okay, we're just going to dive into this a little bit more. But like I was saying before, whenever you've created in a space that gives you the detail orientation about it, which is a double-edged sword. We understand that.
Right.
But the minute I see somebody showing up in a wired brim felt, like construction felt, like craft felt, not actual felt hat that they bought from Amazon that came on the truck and was smushed when it arrived.
Yeah.
Don't. It's better. It's just better to not.
Yeah, and like there's a difference between like a costume look. Like I'm not talking about dressing up. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about like going to like.
But people who are like, oh, this is cute. This is achieving something, and I think the one differentiator I will say, it's hard because I have such an influence, and I feel like I was exposed to that at a way young age in a very like fourth generation family farm type way, cowboy type way. Right. But in present day, it is also the respect of the craft of that and investing in a good pair of boots, because it's it's a person, it's a craftsmanship, it's a design. Investing in the hat had to create it. Investing in the turquoise piece that's real because of the intention and the heritage it carries. That's the only reason why I say when I see it, I'm like, there was such a missed opportunity there, because we had an opportunity to invest in the actual craft, and somebody duped it and found a cheaper way to make it accessible, and that delineates the craft in my opinion. That's just my explanation of my opinion on that.
Totally agree with you. It is all about craftsmanship and the work and the time that goes into each of those pieces, and you can tell whenever you put on and two, whenever you invest. And I'm not saying over here spending thousands of dollars. Like, that's not.
But maybe people don't know how much it costs. Like for like a good pair of boots, $400 at minimum. Going up to our city boot is $1,200, $1,400.
Right, exactly.
Your Luke Casey's are $800. Like the price points are, and not saying that that's what you have to spend to achieve the like the quality.
Totally.
That's not the standard, but it is just understanding what that's like.
A pair of Tacovas to start out with.
Tacovas are such a solid boot, though. Wait, I have one beef. Can we?
Okay.
So I think I'm going to start this little series that we dive into branding in the wild and creativity in the wild. Great executions of brand design, store, display windows, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Tacova, I love their brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I come from a traditional Western background.
Right.
Like I grew up wearing ropers. Okay. That was like the OG Wyoming. But now like Tacovas, I feel like has merged that gap, and their Dallas stores, they have a Fort Worth location. They have 2 Dallas locations.
Yeah.
They have done an incredible job investing in the experience.
Right.
And you walk into Tacovas in the mall and they have an incredible mural on the wall. They have a cross-stitch cowhide textural.
Yeah.
It's like on the wall. It's like wallpaper, but not. They have a bar in there. They did an incredible job on the experience and design of the store.
Yeah.
Okay. But then when you go outside the store and you're walking down that hallway,
Okay.
their display window, I looked and I turned and
You're like, this isn't it.
I looked and I was like, there's just no way they hired the Cavenders people to come do their display window.
No way. I haven't seen it.
I took a video yesterday.
That's so funny.
Because I'm like, I need to overlay this and like discuss this.
Yeah, you're like, this is
You guys, it's screaming Cavenders.
interesting.
You see this? Like, okay, this is solid. That is fine.
Yeah.
But the minute you're putting fake straw on the ground and these outfits, like you don't sell clothes at Tacovas. Like, it's just not good.
Yeah.
There's a huge missed opportunity here. And I think that for somebody who is very like, I'm all about the branding, I will spend more money because of the packaging. I will spend more money because of the experience that I had. That is me.
Yeah.
The minute I walked out of there, I was like, you guys, I'm like, you have this kick-ass store on the inside that you spent money on.
Yeah.
And it worked. And then the minor detail of like a store display, and I'm like, yeah, this may not be a big deal, whatever. But I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah. You're just like, this isn't.
And like, to me, I'm just like, why would you do so great and have such a great execution, and then that one piece of your brand being like, that really fell short? And I know it's just a store display,
Right.
But I just honestly think sometimes I'm like, that's why branding is important.
Branding is very important.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
not it for me.
Yeah.
So anyways, you can still buy Tacovas. They're just store display needs some help.
Yeah. Well, I love the Tacovas just because that they bridge that gap.
They're a classic boot.
And they're a classic boot, and they are a good price.
Yes.
Where like people
affordable in Texas.
Right. And people getting introduced to the Western community.
And they seamlessly flow
go
with our finance bro.
Right.
Like, because the culture of Dallas, like it's going to flow with what people have to wear that are so in the office. It's the city.
It's a good starter boot.
But it also goes with a lot. Like, I totally agree. I think that they've done a great job.
Yeah.
And that's a great... And they're a well-made boot.
Yeah.
They're a well-made boot.
And so I always think like if you are getting introduced to the Western community, like start there.
Yeah.
Because I think that can give you just like a, you know, your first pair.
Yeah.
And then maybe your second pair.
And that is a moment. That's a moment in itself.
Right. And they give you that experience.
Yeah.
Like they give you, you know, a drink and, you know, like they'll bring all these over to you.
And it smells like leather.
It smells like leather.
My favorite.
I love the way it smells.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
It'll never get old
I've
for
done
me.
a couple people like boots there.
Yeah.
And they love, like if they're not a boot person, they're like, oh, this
But it's a classic fit. They have great like options.
Yeah. Of course. And they have like more modern options than more just the Western.
And you're not going to go in there and be like, this is hokey. I feel like a poser. Like that's not
branded by, this is not weird. Sponsor us.
Sorry, I talked crap about your store display.
Sponsor us.
I do love your brand. I honestly do. Just an opinion. It was an opinion. My grandpa was a cowboy. He farmed, and we have a 4th generation farm up in Wyoming. He wasn't a cowboy hat cowboy.
Yeah.
But he had them like in his closet. Like he had Stetsons, you know, and he would wear them to church. It was like something that you wore to church, to an event.
Yeah.
He had black cowboy hats and his blazers and his boots. Like your boots matched your belt and your blazer, and you know, that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then growing up, my dad was a athletic type and all that stuff. So that kind of left. But then now coming back around, I just knew the importance of that. And because I don't actively cowgirl, and I don't know, it was a part of that thing. It's like my opinion has always been like, I want to honor the culture, and am I the culture? But then it was having that conversation with Brett and Nicole Maddox, you know, because that's the craft. He grew up literally in the hat shop. Like his dad built four hats, and he just looked at me and goes, "You are." And it was like that moment that I like needed the permission. And the ability to wear such a high quality thing and being a part of the actual of it itself, the brand, the product, the silks, the leathers, and then having Brett shape it, it was a little bit of an identity moment. And I think that that's going back to the investment of it, of mainstream wants to make things accessible, but culture has an impact. Right. And I just want people to know that it's not that you can't or you shouldn't. Just allow yourself into honoring the culture so that it can have an impact on you.
100%. That's what it's all about, right? It's about taking the history, taking who you are, taking what culture, where we're going in the fashion industry, and combining it, and like being confidently you, like wearing the piece, wearing the outfit. Like you can wear high lows, you know? But it's like when I say investing in the accessories, it's because those pieces you're going to have for a lifetime. Those pieces,
which you should,
you are going to be handing down to generations, and so investing in those specific pieces are truly what is going to make just kind of that history, like keep the history, keep
the integrity of what it is. I also, and I'm gonna tell you, Grandpa's always gone to pawn shops. Like that's his thing. My grandma has beautiful diamond rings from the pawn shop, but turquoise is very present in pawn shops, and you can find exquisite pieces because as that has come back around into mainstream, the market and they've always, like a squash blossom, we could have a whole thing on that. They've always been expensive.
Totally.
But the pawn shop, you can get a great deal. But because it's come back mainstream, it is crazy what has happened. And it is just understanding kind of when something comes back mainstream, the impact it has on the economy of like the market of that. But also my grandma's given me turquoise, and I have that. Like those are my heirlooms, and that's something that that value came from her, because my grandpa would always go to the pawn shop, and grandma always had turquoise. And in our family, it was like, oh, the dream is to have a squash blossom. Like that is the epitome. So whenever my grandpa got her a squash blossom, it was like, oh my gosh, and I got to wear it. Like she let me wear it. And like, so it's like, it is a generational like thing. And I feel passionately about that, because it's allowing those things to have weight. And also there's a space for like having staple pieces that, you know, you don't have to go invest a whole and have a whole story around. Like that's okay. But the fast fashion has a pro and a con, and the more you put into the economy of things, the more opportunities there are for you diluted. So what is your opinion on fast fashion? How does that impact how you educate your clients, how it works in your life, in just like your industry?
Where fashion is a thing like that.
And it always will be.
I have people come to me. I'm never going to go shopping at H&M and like certain places. I just won't. Like, you don't hire a stylist to
That's
go
not my brand.
It's not a part of it. Because like you wear that clothing twice and it disintegrates it's
balled up. And brown. The white shirt is all of a sudden brown. Brown.
So it's like, that's what I say. It's like investing. And I know like we are always trying to keep up with trends and things that are happening, and you know, wanting to like make sure we look at it for all the events that we have, and you know, this, that, and the other. So I definitely know, I understand like fast fashion is a thing, but I also understand the investment that you have to make within those pieces. And I'm not saying here, go buy designer, authorize, shop at Neiman's all the time. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. But it's like taking care of your pieces, right? Like, so if somebody's like, I only have a budget of this much, can like, where can we, live within this? I'm like, it's going to be a little bit more expensive, but I'm going to take you to Aritzia instead of like Zara or H&M.
Right. Because you have to know your boundaries.
You gotta know, like, and two, like, those pieces are going to last you so much longer than those other ones. And like, if you're investing in me and I'm investing in yourself, you're going to want to also take care of the pieces that you're purchasing. So I think as far as whenever it comes to fast fashion, I understand what it is, and it's there. It's quick. It's to fulfill a need, a trend, a moment that you have to look good for a certain thing. Yeah. But it's not something that is sustainable for longevity. Like, you're not going to have that.
It's not expressive, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's not like really like you.
Yes.
Like, like, who are you?
It's attaining a goal, but is it actually expression?
Right. Yeah. Right. And so, like, what I say with my people, I'm like, let's invest in these. And I say invest, again, I don't want to say I'm like spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Like,
and that's different depending on where
you're at, of course.
Well, on the scope. Like, it just is different.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like I said, I'll shop at like Aritzia, stuff like that. So, like, I'm not over here spending.
Which great basics.
Totally basics.
That will last forever, and they won't ball up and disintegrate in the washing machine.
So
don't dry.
Like, you have, right. Don't do that. So it's like having those certain like basic pieces, and then we like maybe spend a little bit more on like staple moments.
Right. I agree.
On moments that are gonna, like, I had this one lawyer that I just recently worked with, and she's like started a new job, and she loved color and da-da-da. So I went and got her basics that she can wear and mix and match each day, but then I went and got her this beautiful like red, it's like a jacket blazer kind of type.
Yeah.
Yes. It was from Theory.
Yeah.
Right. And it was this beautiful red, like, longer, and she put that thing on and she was, yep.
That is so great.
The moment. She just felt like in that moment she felt powerful, and like she could
capable.
walk into this new career, new job, should I say, and just feel like she could take over. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about.
That is it.
And it wasn't crazy expensive, but it was just investing in like a few more moments for her that she could start building her wardrobe.
I love that. What is a tactical piece of advice you would give someone that needs help building their wardrobe?
Yeah. So I always, like, with anybody that comes my way, like, my first and foremost, like, what I do, I'm like, you have to go through your closet first.
Inventory.
You have to inventory.
Figure out what you got.
Like, do you even like, if you don't like it, like, get rid of it.
Life's too short.
Like, it is. We're not holding on to things that we
and we're not wearing something based on what someone else did and you just thought you had to do it.
Yeah, we're not wearing it. Like, put it on. Do you like it? Does the color, does the fit, like, go with you? If you like the way the fabric feels, if not, see you later.
Yeah, right.
So that's the first thing I tell people is just do inventory of your closet. The second thing I tell people is to put a mood board together of, like, who are you?
The best.
Like, what is your pie in the sky? Like, who do you want to be? What is your overall vision that our goal?
Yeah.
So put together that Pinterest.
That's so helpful. Board. Do you use any of the new apps like Locker or Rodeo or?
No, I'm pretty much just like
Pinterest is easy.
Pinterest but I have them start a new one. So like I have people pull from like and like any of their like celebrity things, whatnot. So I have people pulling from everywhere,
which is great.
It's not just like Pinterest, it's like we just like house it there.
Yeah.
But pull like 10 photos, pie in the sky, what you feel like this is what you want to achieve in your style. And then from there, like anything that does not
I help you make it happen. Yeah.
Then I help you make it happen. But anything that does not fit that mold has to go.
Yeah, I love that.
Gotta go.
See ya.
Yeah.
For your own personal inspiration, who are those people that you're saving, that you're pinning, that you're screenshotting?
Yeah, so I do a lot of course, I do the classics like Hailey Bieber, Dua Lipa. Like I just because Hailey's like so classic.
It's effortless.
And then Dua has this edge to her.
Edgy for sure.
Yeah, that sexiness too. That I'm like, okay, like that's what I'm, that we're
drizzle that in. Yeah, right.
A little bit to people. I really look at Kate Middleton. I look at Blake Lively a lot too.
Did you like her Super Bowl fit?
I did.
I loved it. I loved it. I'm like, the freaking tracksuit. Heck yeah. We'll do it. And I love the chunky. There's a TikTok I saw that kind of broke down all of her jewelry, but she was wearing all Tiffany's.
Yeah.
Pieces I hadn't seen yet.
Right.
And just how they did that. Also, the curly hair for me kind of sealed the deal.
I love her so much. And so it's just, I'm constantly looking at, of course, who has been doing it, Julia Roberts just came out with that Vogue campaign.
She's such an OG.
I like the red. And then that, like, I was like, oh, I need a red vinyl jacket. And that was...
have to have it.
Have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's so fair.
Right. And so I'm always looking at people who have done it and who have been in the game for years because, again, that's history. But then I'm also looking at, like, the up-and-coming, like, Madison Bear and, like, the, Dua Lipa's and those people of the world because they're bringing in that new generation. They're, like, in with the new trend thing.
Who's deciding?
So the new generation.
Because that is one thing, the rabbit hole I will go down. Who decides?
Yeah. Well, I think the newer generation is deciding because they're influencing, but then the older generation is like, no, classic. This is what we're doing. Like,
and this is our spin on it.
Yeah, this is our spin. So it's like a dance. We're always doing a dance.
Now I'm sure these people exist, but I want to say I did stumble upon some content of somebody who kind of their whole role within their fashion company was to get a thermometer on the buzz. Mm-hmm. And they're going into social mostly and seeing what's gaining. So you're right.
Yeah.
It's the new generation and what conversations are happening on social that influences the market, which is actually insane to me.
It's insane.
Because it's like this trend of like, okay, it's kind of happening, and then it's like a hotness to it, or things that like kind of stay down here, but then they could become, and you're like, oh, I was doing that all along, and then somebody finally decided it was time.
Yeah.
And so that it's such a tricky and very interesting thing to me of like, who is deciding?
Yeah. And
who wore the metallic shoe first?
Right. Yeah.
And then was it 3 years ago? It probably was.
I think it was.
And then all of a sudden,
ballet flats,
Sam Edelman decided to make a shoe. Like, but also production takes. They can't just kick out shoes in a season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, Trend Report is like a major thing. Like, everything is coming from overseas in Asia. Like, that's where all the fashion is coming. Like, the futuristic, the metallics.
Yeah.
Usher
crazy
wore.
To think about.
Yeah, Usher wore the off-white.
It's a mind boggle.
Like, bodysuit, almost like.
Yes.
And I say bodysuit, like a body armor.
Yeah.
I say more so.
Drake's really been looking like that though too.
They all have, because it's like that's the future, right? Like they're always looking for the future.
It's scary.
And and then you have like the classic West. So anyways, it's like just combining all this. But at the end of the day, like while we have all these trends, while we have all of these fashion, houses and people, like I think like just dress for yourself and make yourself feel fully comfortable. Like who are you? What do you want to say to the world?
Yeah.
Whether it's like your expression is dressing for the future and like those cool new kicks, metallic, whatever, or if it's like getting the Western hat out of your closet and like
dusting it off.
Yeah. Dusting it off. So it's like whatever it is, just like fully step into like who you are, because at the end of the day, that's going to be the most important. That's going to be authentic,
and that's going to be connecting with people. I think at the end of the day, that we understand, but if you just also need to be reiterated that the authenticity of that, the discovery, the expression is what is going to offer connection. Yeah. And that's what we were created for. Like human psychology. Last question.
Okay.
Who die to work with? Not literally die, but like who is on your roster of your I would love to be on their team?
Shay Mitchell, Olivia Culpo.
Oh, dang, those are two good ones, but kind of similar in a way.
Kind of
a vibe.
They're both vibe. They both have an edge to them.
Different though. Olivia Culpo. Can you give me a background on? Because I know her, but because I obviously know who Shay, but what's her story?
Olivia Culpo was Miss Universe.
Okay. I guess I did not know that she was a beauty queen.
Yeah, I just love like her style. Like it's classic and clean, but with an edge.
Yes.
And
it kind of gives a Dua peep.
Yeah.
It kind of gives that same vibe. How interesting. Yeah.
But Shay Mitchell, whenever I think about
she's
her,
also sexy.
She's super sexy, but it's also she can pull off any look. Like,
but in a simple look.
No, but she can be like Latina one day. She can be Indonesian one day. She can be like she's from Canada, so it's like she has this skin tone and this color,
her olive skin's beautiful,
and this like edge to her. Like it doesn't matter like project it is.
Yeah.
Like Vogue could hire her for any one of their covers.
Right. And it would work.
And she could be Brazilian, like whatever, because like
such
she
a good
just
point.
has
so versatile
in her look. And so I would die to work with her because I think
Where does she live? LA?
LA.
Yeah.
But she can just...
Are you moving there next and then coming back to Dallas?
But she can just pull off, and she has this confidence about herself to where she is just like, yep, she's art. Yep. She is dressing art.
Yeah, that's so true.
So
Would you move to LA? LA feels a lot like New York.
I don't know.
But also,
Not
that's the
anymore.
beauty of it is you can travel. That I think that's kind of why I've come into my own in Dallas, just knowing I can work with anyone
I can go
anywhere.
anywhere I want.
I can be anywhere in 3 hours.
Yeah.
And Dallas is just a great place to land. There's also a lot here. Let's talk a little bit about you being on the board of FGI.
Yes.
Because that's a great local
Oh my
investment.
gosh. I'm so excited about
It's
this.
such a great thing.
So recently, I'm actually now introducing the new regional director.
Yay.
On FGI. I was with them for multiple years as a member, and 3 years ago they actually asked me to sit on the board.
Okay,
with them. And
that's
so
cool.
I got to really bring in the whole goal, is connection, creativity, and innovation with FGI, and making sure that we are connecting our members and seeing what's going on, and really representing our emerging designers and artists and beauty industry in Dallas, and bringing light to like what we have going on here.
It's more than the common eye can see.
Yeah, and people always ask, like, how do you go to this gallery? How do you go to this event? And I'm like, you can too.
Yeah,
like,
right.
It's in our backyard, basically. And so giving people events and whatnot. So this last year, actually just in January 2024, they actually asked me to step into the regional director.
That's so exciting.
role. And again,
What does that mean? What does that look like?
that's, we're still figuring it out, but
That's
it's
fair.
very new.
That's so fair.
Yes, but I think it's more projects and really honing in with my team. I have 18 people on the board with me.
That's cool.
And really like giving them permission to their form, right? Like if they want to host an event, if they want to put on a beauty panel or a fashion panel, like who are the people that we need to be showcasing?
Right.
Who are the galleries that we need to put on the maps, and like what do our members need to see in education and teach them so that they continue their education and their dreams of being in fashion, art, or beauty industry,
That's
so it
great.
all is just a tier of making sure everyone, I think more so like what my job is. I'm not necessarily working on any one project.
You were making sure the space exists.
I'm making sure that everyone feels comfortable, confident, and like they can have a place to speak, like they have a seat at the table to where they feel like their connections and their artists that they're representing are being heard and seen, and that our members are feeling connected, so I think it's going to be a very exciting 2 years. And it's nerve-wracking, it's exciting, but again, like it's one of those things that I never expected to be in this room and sitting at this table, but here I am. And it was all because I just didn't give up. So with FGI, I think we have a huge event, our huge gala that comes up in November. Last year we had Christian Siriano, Nina Garcia.
Yes, that was great.
Bethan Hardison and Ashley Longshore, who were all there.
That's great.
And they all got awards. So this year is going to bring even more celebrity, and that's our biggest fundraiser that we have each year. And each of those, that fundraising, all the money raised goes back to a scholarship for students to continue their education.
That's so important.
Yeah. So I'm very excited.
That is so exciting.
And I think it's just creating more them, and again, being in spaces and giving people chances to say yes. That's kind of, I think, my overall vision for where my life is just giving people permission.
Leading the charge, but also in your roles, empowering people, because you carry that presence with you, right? Like you're walking into the room, and giving your permission, I feel like also gives other people permission.
And it's like you can. So people call me, from the FGI board, like, what do you think about this? Can I do this? And I'm like, let's do it. You can do whatever you want. Like,
that's great. That's incredible. Because there is the pro con of like, but maybe we do need to be a yes girl, like in our way, right? With like how, like you said, like healthy parameters. Why not? That's so exciting.
And it's like we have been given the opportunity to create more. Like my whole thing was giving people like I wanted to do this from day one, was giving emerging designers and artists and beauty experts like a platform to showcase, right? And to really, if I'm gonna live in Dallas, like what does Dallas have to offer? And it has a lot to offer.
That's, so I'm like, let's the longer you're here, the more like I think Dallas is starting to get a grip on me. Because it's so true. There's a lot of things going on
here, so I want to give people a place to like see Dallas in like an artist's eye.
Which I think is so incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'll tag that below because I was on the website the other day seeing what kind of I needed to make to become a member. I know. But to the point, I also, the more that we can find places to have that space, the more, tying it all back to, the more we're going to be even questioning if we need to keep going, because the more times you can be in those spaces that you're invigorated, but not having to show up to prove anything or be anything or have a certain increment of success, the more spaces we can walk into that, the less we'll even be having that conversation with ourselves.
Totally. And like, it goes back to like, at the end of the day, like, this isn't like stepping into this new role with FGI and too in the role of like service with my clients. It's like, it's not about me at the end of the day. Like, my role is to give other people the place to create and showcase.
Because we know what it does. We know what it does from a holistic mind, body, spirit, life thing. We know what that's like.
I want to give people the space to like create and step into form and say yes to themselves. And so I think that like stepping into the new season for me, like, I'm now in this role where I'm able to now even give more of that back. And then take myself, like, it's some ideas I might have, but like, I want to hear from you.
Right.
Like, what are your ideas?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's make that happen.
Yeah. I'll just help you implement.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, this has been so incredible.
Hey,
there's so many good. That is also the goal. There's so many good nuggets, and I just hope people hope that they give themselves permission. I hope that they show up. I hope that they create more.
Yeah.
I hope that they understand that if you're a person who takes fashion and creative expression with your clothes seriously, that is okay. And maybe we should all think a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Because I know what a good outfit does to my soul.
It's great. You step out, head held high. My grandma used to say, shoulders back, chin up.
Head held high. And I do one last note of, there is so much behavior and habit around our decisions to purchase and invest.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that behavior influences our creative expression. And so having that aligned in a way will allow you to invest in the things that matter to you.
Yeah. Invest in you, invest in things that matter to you. Like,
it is top down. It's all connected.
It's like, how are you stepping up? Like, I might not be feeling great one day, but that's why I put on a good outfit and I feel 10
turn that frown right upside down.
Let's go, girls.
We're good. Well, where can people find you?
Yeah, so everything from website, social media, everything is Styled by Cohen, Style, there's a D, Styled by Cohen, and then Alex Cohen. That's it.
I'll tag everything, but I'm so glad you're here. This has been an incredible conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I can't wait to see what 2024 does.
Yay, for both of us.
Yes, amen. Put a stamp on that.